Om Sam Saraswati Namaha. Namaste. Namaste, everyone. Last night, on verse number 40, the gods bowed down with devoted respect to the embodiment of all love, to she who fulfills all hopes and desires, to the mother of all who thrusts all into the ignorance of duality. We're in chapter 3. And verse 41, her beneficence allowed the gods to see the beautiful face of the Mother of the Universe, radiating a sweet smile, the image of infinite compassion. Seeing her, that divine image of compassion, the gods immediately bowed down with devotion, but they could not speak as their voices were choked with emotion. Then, with great difficulty, those devotees began to praise her with their eyes filled with tears and devotion. For the satisfaction of the Mother of the Universe, they chanted, Deva Uchu Namo Devyaki Mahadevyaki Shivaya Satata Namaha Namaha Prakriti Bhadraye Niyataha Pranataha Smatam Tamakdi Barnan Tapasa Twalantim Hoirochaning Kamapale Shujurshtam Durgam Deving Sharanam Prapadyam He Surana Shatriti Namaha Deving Bachamajayanta Devas Tang Vishwarupa Pashavo Badanti Sando Mandresha Murjan Duhana Nirvakasmanupasvishtritu Kalaratrim Brahmastutam Vaishnaving Skandamahataram Saraswati Maditing Daksha Duitaram Namaha Papanam Shivam Mahalakshmi Chridmate Sarvasakti Chadimate Tano Devi Prachodayat Namo Virat Swarupanyaki Namaha Sutrapna Purtage Namo Vyakrita Rupinyaki Namaha Sri Brahmamurtage Yadagyanana Jagabhati Rajur Sarpasagad Vidam Nyajaga Lakshanapdoti Numastam Bhuvaneswarim Numasta Pada Lakshartam Chidekasa Rupinim Akandam Nandarupantam Vedatat Parjabhumikam Panchasho Akosha Asiritam Tam Avastatraya Sakshinim Namastvat Padalakshartam Padyagama Swarupinim Namaha Pranava Rupaye Namo Ring Karamurtaye Nanamatrat Bikayoyite Karunaye Namo Namaha Itis Tutvatada Devakir Mani Dvipa Divasinim Prahavachamaduraya Matakokila Niswana Sri Devi Vacham Badantu Vibhudakaryam Tadatamiya Sankatam Varadam Sadavatam Kamakabadrumasmicham Tishtayantyam Yemagita Tintya Yusmakam Bhakti Stalinam Samudaram Madbhatyan Dukha Samsara Sagarad Iti Pratikyam Me Matsatyam Chanita Vibhuvotamam Iti Prema Kulambanim Sutra Santoshtam Panasam Nirbhaya Nirjararajan Nuchu Dukam Svakiyakam Deva Uchu Nagyatam Kinchidapyatra Pabadyasti Chagatraye Sarvagaya Sarvasakshi Rupinya Parameshwari, Tarekina Surendrena, Piritasmo Divanistam, Shivam Gajada Dastyasya, Nibito Brahmanasive, Shivam Ganatu Naivasti, Chanasi Twamikeshwari, Sarvaga Purata Kimba, Bhaktavyam Paramarjanai, Deta Dudeshata Proktam, Apram Tarki Gambite, Sarvada Charana Boje, Bhakti Syat Tavanishala, Partani Yamidam Mukyam, Apram Dekakitave, Iti Desham Bhachasrutva, Pravacha Parameshwari, Mama Shaktis Du Yogori, Bhavishati Himbalake, Shivaya Sapradeyasyad, Sabhakargam Vidasyati, Bhaktarga Charana Bhoje, Buddhyadyash Yushmak Madarad, Himalaya Ki Manasa, Amupasteti Bhaktitam, Tatasya Shyagri Janma, Mama Priyakaram Matam, Vyasuvacham. Himalaya Pita Trutvat, Tatyugraka Karambacham, Bashpesram Ruta Kantaksho, Maharakim Pavocha Bravit, Matarantang Kurashe, Yasyami Krakhamitsasi, No Kvechwapam Jadastanu, Kwatwam Sachit Surupini, Asambhabyam Jamasatis, Twat Pitri Twam Mamhanage, Ashmita Di Punyurvam, Punivatat Samagdite, Adya Prapanche Kirti Syad, Jagan Mata Sutabapat, Aho Himalakasyashyam, Danyoso Bhaktipaniti, Yasyastu Jatare Santi, Pramadadam Chikotayam, Sevakasyastu Tajata, Kovasya Tatsamo Bhuvi, Najanismi Pritrinankim, Stananshyanitim Tampuram, Itadvisharam Vasayam, Esham Vasesti Madrisa, Idangata Chatame, Kripaya Prima Purnayam, Sarva Vedanta Siddhamcham, Tvarupam Rui Metatam, Yogam Bhakti Sakitam, Gyanam Srutim Sambhavatam, Vadaswa Parmesari, Twameva Hangyato Babe, Vyasuvacham, Iti Tashyavacha Srutvam, Prasana Mukha Pankajam, Bhaktam Ramabam Tatsa, Rakashan Sruti Guhitam, Om. And the gods said, and we're at verse 44, we bow to the goddess, to the great goddess, to the energy of infinite goodness at all times we bow. We bow to nature, to the excellent one. With discipline, we have bowed down. Our discipline is the demonstration of our respect, and that is the bowing. Just by being disciplined and regular in our sankalpa, in our vow of spiritual exercises, we bow with every spiritual exercise that we perform. We take the refuge of she who is of the nature of fire, who shines as the light of wisdom in meditation, the bestower of the fruits of all actions, the goddess Durga, the reliever of all difficulties, to the destroyer of all thoughts, we bow down to you. The gods have offered forth many loving vibrations to the goddess. Just take them all. All of our loving vibrations we're offering to you. Please, you receive them, you accept them, you ingest them and digest them. All living beings call her the form of the universe. In fact, beyond Mahamaya, beyond the Shakti, beyond the infinite energy of all, there is no universe. There is no manifested existence. May she, who is like the cow granting all desires, the Kamadhenu, she fulfills all desires of devotees, give her a bliss and strength, the form of all sound, she is all vibrations. May that ultimate goddess, being pleased with our hymns, present herself before us. Hey, Mom, show yourself. We're pure devotees calling to you from a very pure place. Please, you present yourself before us. We bow to the time of darkness, to she who is praised by the creative capacity, Yoganidra, who is praised by Brahma, to awaken consciousness, to awaken Lord Vishnu, to the impending attack from too much and too little, to the energy of the universal consciousness, to the mother of divinity, to the spirit of all-pervading knowledge, to the mother of enlightenment, to the daughter of ability, Daksha's Sutta, Daksha's daughter, to the energy of goodness. We know the goddess Mahalakshmi, and we meditate upon she who embodies all energy. May that goddess grant us increase in wisdom. Please, we're praying to you with the greatest sincerity of which we are capable. Please grant us increase in wisdom. We bow to the intrinsic nature of the universal manifestation. We bow to the image of the soul of the subtle existence. We bow to the intrinsic nature of she who is indivisible. We bow down with devotion to the respected image of supreme divinity. That's you. We bow down with great devotion to the supreme of all existence, who creates ignorance, like mistaking a rope for a snake, etc. Remember, Shankaracharya told the parable of seeing a coiled rope and thinking it to be a snake, and that's just how we look at this world of Maya and think it's real. Who creates the ignorance like mistaking a rope for a snake, etc., and who also gives the knowledge to correct that ignorance. She allows us to be drawn into the illusion and bound by the illusion, and then she gives us the knowledge to correct that ignorance and come to the reality. We bow down to the object of the definition of that, as in Tat Swam Asi, and to the intrinsic nature of the nectar of the one consciousness, the nectar of the bliss of immortality, the nectar of the bliss of one consciousness. You are the form of the individual bliss and the supreme wisdom in all lands. You are behind the 5 sheaths, the 5 koshas, the Annamaya Kosh, the world of empirically verifiable matter, the Pranamaya Kosh, the world of breath, of air, of prana, of the life force, the Manamaya Kosh, of the consistency of thought, of the Vijnanamaya Kosh, which is of the consistency of light. Take all the material world and dissolve it into breath, into wind, into the life force, and bring it inside in the form of air. Take all the Pranamaya Kosh and lift it into the mind and dissolve all of the perceptions into conceptions. In the Manamaya Kosha, take all the conceptions of the mind and dissolve them into light, the light of wisdom, the light of knowledge, the light of the pure illumination in Vijnanamaya Kosha. And take that Vijnanamaya Kosha in all the light of wisdom and dissolve it into the Anandamaya Kosha, And now all that remains is Sat Chit Ananda, true existence, infinite bliss, pure consciousness, Sat Chit Ananda. So these are the 5 koshas, the 5 sheaths, the 5 of the consistency of matter, of the consistency of breath, of the consistency of thought, of the consistency of the light of wisdom, of the consistency of pure bliss permeating all of existence. This is the true reality of consciousness, is bliss. Sat Chit Ananda. The witness of the 3 states, wakefulness, Jagrat, dreaming, Swapna, and deep sleeping consciousness, Shushupti. Jagrat, Swapna, Shushupti. The 3 states of consciousness. Consciousness of the external world. Consciousness of the internal world. Consciousness of Sat Chit Ananda, the world of intuition. Jagrat, Swapna, Shushupti. And there's a 4th state called Turiya. We'll get it in a succeeding chapter. We bow down to the object of the definition of thou, the intrinsic nature of the soul of all existence. That's you, Mom. We bow down to the pranav, Om. We bow down to the image of the bija mantra, Hrim. You are the manifestation of various mantras, and you are compassionate. We bow down again and again to you. Thus, the gods sing praises to the Divine Mother Goddess who resides in the Island of Jewels, the Monidweep. We talked about that in our last session. And then the Supreme Spirit of all welfare spoke to them in a voice as sweet as that of a cuckoo bird. And the gods said, "Tell me the purpose of your gathering here. I grant to devotees the fulfillment of desires as a wish-fulfilling tree. For devotees who have become established with me, what is this anxiety? I bear my devotees beyond the sorrows of the ocean of objects and relationships. I carry them across this sansar samudra, all across this ocean of objects and relationships. Why should you be anxious? Why should you be concerned? You've come to pray to me. You sing a beautiful hymn, and I grant boons to anybody who comes to the Devi Mandir and sits down in one asana and sings their love for God. This promise of mine is true. Know this, O excellent knowers." Hey, you guys know. That's why you came here in the first place. And know this, remember this, contemplate this. Thus, hearing these words filled with love, the gods derived complete satisfaction in their minds. O king, then the gods described their own pain without hesitation. The gods said, "Mom, ouch! There is nothing in these 3 worlds which is not known to you. You're a know-it-all. You know everything that's going on in everybody's mind. O supreme ruler of all, you know everything and you see everything. Day and night, the illuminator of darkness, Tarakasura, the ruler of duality, is giving us much distress. In fact, I'm at my wit's end. That ruler of duality, that illuminator of duality is causing me so much conflict. He has received the boon from Brahma. Brahma, why did you do that? He has received the boon from Brahma that he will be killed only by Shiva's son. O great seer of all, you know that the wife of Shiva is not in manifestation at this time. Sati left her body. O Mother of the universe, what can ignorant and inferior beings like ourselves tell to you who are omniscient? You know all our troubles and our desires. We're such small little we're specks of dust walking around this earth saying, mine, mine, I, everyone, look at me. And what can we tell to you who are omniscient and omnipresent, all-knowing, existing everywhere? You know all our troubles and our desires. Bless us so that our devotion remains continuously at your lotus feet. Shuddha Pavitra Bhakti Dijiye. Give us that pure devotion, Mom. This is our earnest prayer and all that we should speak. Mom, if you give us enough devotion that we can remember you, we'll forget all about the duality. If you give us sufficient devotion, we will achieve an intensity of focus which allows us to extricate ourselves from all of this delusion and pay attention exclusively to you if we really love you. So please give us that kind of devotion. That's our prayer. That's all we want. If you give us devotion, you have effectively removed every difficulty from us, past, present, and future. All that exists is this present moment where we get to be with you. And so what else do you want to hear from us? What else can we speak? Hearing these words of prayer from the gods, the supreme ruler of all said, my divine energy will incarnate as Gauri in the Devi Mandir. She will become the wife of Shiva and will beget a son that will achieve your purpose. And, mark my words, and your devotion will remain steadfast at my lotus feet. Evamastu. Himalaya, too, is worshiping me with his full mind and with great devotion, and therefore I am very pleased to take birth in his house. And Vyasa said, hearing these extremely kind words, Himalaya was filled with love. With a voice choked with tears in his throat, he spoke to the great queen of existence. This being has been raised high by your loving desire. For what am I but an inert, stationary existence, whereas you are the intrinsic nature of true existence and consciousness. I'm just a mountain. And that too, a very stoic mountain. I just sit here. I haven't accomplished anything great in my life yet. My becoming your father, which is otherwise impossible, must be the results of the merits earned by me from performing the Ashwamedha and other sacrifices like the Sahasra Chandi, etc., etc., and the merits from my constant union in one-pointed meditation. I've been sitting here religiously thinking about you, serving you, acting for you, saying your name, and performing your yajnas. That the mother of the perceivable universe will become my daughter will make my fame to be foremost among the creation composed of 5 elements. Can you imagine me becoming the father of the mother of the universe? I will be known as the father of a goddess. What a privilege to become a father of a goddess. I can imagine how proud other fathers feel when they give birth to their children. How much more so would you feel if you really understood that you're giving birth to the goddess? That I, little old me, could become the father to you. My fame will become great in this world because I have a daughter like you. Oh, how blessed and fortunate is Himalaya. To whom can greater fortune come than to he who has been chosen to give birth to the daughter within whom millions of creations are contained? The creation, you wear all the creations as an ornament. They are within you, and still you are greater. I cannot know to what elevated places my ancestors may be entitled. Those perceivable and imperceivable residences in which the future virtues may take birth. My ancestors from so many generations will be purified because you've taken birth in our family. Just like the family of Ikshvaku. Can you imagine how many people would remember the lineage of Ikshvaku or the lineage of Raghu if it were not for Ram taking birth in that family? In the same way, here is Himalaya. My ancestors are famous through the history of creation because you have chosen our household in which to take birth. In the same way that you have shown me the grace of the fullness of your love, describe to me that form, your real self, which is the attainment of perfection of the non-duality of Vedanta. Mom, I want you to, I know you're going to become a daughter, and I know you're here and embodied as the image of divinity. Now tell me what your formless state looks like. Let me ask you to define for me, what is the formless? O Supreme Lord of all, tell of yoga and devotion and wisdom as shown in the Vedas, so by that knowledge I will be able to realize the self. I'll be qualified to live as the father of the Divine Mother. If you tell me what is pure devotion, if you tell me what is wisdom, if you tell me what is yoga, then I could live as a yogi and still be the father of the Divine Mother. And Vyas said, having heard these words from Himalaya, the mother of the universe, with a pleasing look, began to expound the secrets contained in the Vedas. Oh. And actually, from this point forward, starts the teaching of the Devi Gita. These questions, the definition of the formless, how does the formless come into form? How is a yogi? What is his life? What is devotion? What is wisdom? How do we live as yogis with devotion? Living a life dictated by wisdom, guided by wisdom. How do we demonstrate the purity of our devotion? The sincerity of our devotion? Mom, please illuminate us. How will I act when I'm the father of the Divine Mother? How will I act when the Divine Mother comes to my house and takes a seat on my altar and moves into my temple? Well, what should I do? What should I say? How shall I say it? How do I achieve yoga? Chitta, vritti, nirodha. How can I stop and prohibit all the changes and modifications of the objects of my awareness? What wisdom will I apply? With what intensity of devotion need it be applied in order for me to achieve the epitome of yoga? Mom, this is what I want to know about. Please, illuminate me and inspire me and give me a kick in the pants and make me do it. Even though I have all this bookish knowledge stored up in here, maybe, Mom, lead me to the path so that I can actually actualize your knowledge. Please, this is my earnest prayer for you. If you are gracing me, you love me so much, you regard me so highly that you have designed to take birth in my home, then please tell me, how should I live? How should I act? How do I worship you purely so that you remember all the time that you are the Divine Mother manifest in creation in order to achieve the purpose of the gods? That's the inspiration I want to communicate to you, and I want the knowledge from you how I can maintain that attitude. Please. And thus ends chapter 3, and really that's the beginning of the discussion, the discourse, the didactic analysis of the Devi Gita. Are there questions? Please.
I have a question about from verse 46, Swamiji.
Yes.
In verse 46, the gods say, seek the goddess to persevere before us. They
Yes.
say, similarly, in the Argala Stotram, we pray, give us your form.
Yes.
Now, I have a few questions. The first is, this visualization of the goddess, is it a worthy goal for a sadhak?
Absolutely. Absolutely, we strive to not only to see her form externally, but give us this form. Let me internalize this form. May I even close my eyes and not see anything else. May I imbibe your qualities. May I inculcate your behaviors. May I become your disciple. May I become Ishish. Give us the form.
And so the two related questions are, when we ask for this form, and by her grace, if we are able to visualize her form, how does it affect our qualities in the sense that how we interact in the world, and what are some practices we can perform to attain this goal?
Well, there are several practices. Of course, your guru will show you many of them. One of the practices that I would strongly recommend is that our mouths tend to speak many words when our minds may be contemplating so many various thoughts. There's some degree of hypocrisy going on within us all. Our mouths are saying, I love you, and I'm reading, and I like you a lot, Mom, and I'm bowing to you. But in reality, look me in the eye and say that. And that's the practice called thratthak. When you can keep your eyes as still as her eyes, and look her in the eye and say what you want to say. And understand the meaning of what you're saying, and the real purport of what you're saying, and the intensity of involvement of what you're saying, that has a whole different level of experience from saying, it says here, I love you. Do you believe me? It means so much more to us both when I can look you in the eye and say, I love you. And these are my words, not the book's words. This is the true expression of my feeling, not just something that the rishi said and I'm saying the same thing. I'm not repeating words from history. I'm expressing a present emotion. And that brings us closer into relationship with her form. This is one of the processes that we can all utilize. Now, in many cases, that will mean, instead of saying, Namo Devyaki Mahadevyaki, we could say the same words looking her in the eye. And that means, to the extent of our capability, memorize the text. Because then it becomes your expression, not just something you're reading. So that's another technique that we can employ by practicing tratak, by memorizing the text, by familiarizing ourselves with the order of the offerings in worship, and knowing their physical location and where each bowl, each container of each substance that we're going to offer is located. We don't even have to take our eyes off the deity. We merely reach and pick up the right substance and offer it to her with the right mantra. Another technique. Familiarize yourselves with the tools of your trade. Know where your bell is kept. Know where your koshi is kept. Know how to pick up your water pot. Where is the fulcrum? Where is the balance? So that you can utilize your tools without thinking. They become extensions of your divine expression rather than something that you struggle with and don't know how to balance or use. It becomes the tools of your trade. Notice where you set up, how you set up your puja, so that you can access everything from one asana. And you don't have to get up and break your asana. Oh, I left that a little too far away. Oh, I need that thing over there. No, surround yourself with all the tools so that you can sit in one asana with one rhythm. Know where everything is located so that you can make the offerings in one rhythmic dance. It's a ballet. It's an orchestrated dance of devotion which offers all of the right materials with the corresponding and appropriate mantras, while we look her in the eye and say, hey, I brought you this because it's a token of my love. And in this way, we make the offerings, we make the worship, we make the puja, we make our lives the same way. We organize our workspace the same, with the same efficiency, so that everything we perform, every activity we perform becomes an expression of this divine longing for efficiency and effectiveness and equilibrium and balance in every activity that we're performing. The activity becomes divine. These are all various techniques that we can employ and integrate into our spiritual discipline in order to achieve this relationship of bringing her form inside. Other questions, please?
Nanda from San Jose.
Namaste, Nandama.
With discipline we have bowed down. Can you please tell us why discipline is so important in worship?
Yes, I can. And I could go on and on and on. Discipline is the expression of our love. I love you so much that I've trained myself to do this perfectly for you. I've taught myself and practiced it. I've rehearsed it. I knew you would come, and I wanted to do it for you as nicely as I possibly could. So I've been practicing for so many times, as much as it takes, Mom, until you come, and just like you did for Himalaya, you'll do for me too. And you'll say, hey, Swam, I accept your devotion, and I'm giving you more. I accept the sincerity of your worship, and I'm blessing you with greater sincerity and greater intensity. The discipline, Nandama, is going to teach us how to do it. It's going to train us how to do it so that we do it efficiently without margin for error. So remember, Pratamam Shailaputricha, first is the inspiration. Dvitiyam Brahmacharini, second is the knowledge. Tritiyam Chandaganteti, and the third is the delight of practice. Kushmam Deti Chaturthakam, and the fourth is the tapasya, the refinement. Panchamam Skandamateti, and the fifth is the nurturing divinity through our action. We're demonstrating how divine we think you are through our activity. Shashtankatiyayani Ticha, and she's ever pure, no mistake, no margin for error. Saptamang Kalaratiti, and then we forget about the ego. Mahagoriti Chashtamam, and we become one with the great radiant light. Navamang Siddhidatricha Evamastu, the grantor of perfection. Navadurga Prakirtita, and that's why we need the discipline. Because through discipline we will become efficient. And anything that's worth attaining is worth disciplining ourselves to be able to achieve that goal.
Wendy from New Jersey has a question.
Yes, Wendy, Ma, namaste. Namaste, Sam.
In verse 52, the witness of the three states, wakefulness, external, dreaming, internal, and deep sleeping consciousness. Did you say, Swamiji, the last state was related to intuition?
Yes, it is.
Can you please re-explain this last state?
Yes, Wendy Ma, when you're in deep sleeping consciousness, it's called Shushupti. It means that you have no concept whatsoever. You have deep dreamless sleep, means that you only perceive. You would perceive the infinity, or you perceive nothing. There is an intuition. There is no thought. There is no concept. There is no external recognition. There is only an intuitive knowledge. How did you know that you went to sleep? You didn't think about it. You didn't dream it. But you knew it, that you rested. How did you know? It must have been intuitive knowledge. And this type of knowledge, a priori knowledge, as Kant was to call it, this kind of knowledge is the intuitive cognition. That is the understanding that comes through meditation. So this deep, dreamless sleep is akin to meditation, with the exception of dreamless sleep means you perceive the nothing. And meditation means you perceive the everything. There's an illumination of all. So that's how we distinguish between wakefulness, dreaming, and deep sleeping consciousness, Jagrat, Swapna, Shushupti. And a little later we'll talk about Turiya.
Nanda is asking, is there a connection? What is the connection between the Bija Om and Bija Cream? I have heard cream being referred to as the tantric Om.
You can call it that if you like. If you say Om is equal to Sada Shiva, infinite consciousness, then Hrim is equal to Shakti Tattva. So what the pranav Om is to the masculine, to consciousness, the pranav Hrim is to Shakti, to infinite energy. You can make that analogy. However, we can also say Om stands for the infinite beyond conception, and Hrim stands for all that can be perceived, conceived, all that can be known, the manifestation of consciousness. Yes, please, go ahead.
On verse 56, it says, "For devotees who have become established with me, what is this anxiety?" When one becomes inspired by this spiritual life and wants to pursue the spiritual life, when do you become established in her? Is it when you have that inspiration, or is it later?
It's later.
And how is it?
It happens by grace. Even Shiva established in her and then he forgot. Even Brahma and Vishnu became established and they forgot. Remember, Shiva and Vishnu fought with the Hala for 60,000 years because they forgot. And then they came home and got in an argument with their wives because they forgot. So we become established in her, and then the anxiety comes again. And then we remember her and she takes away the anxiety, and we become established in her again. And that's the cycle of creation. Where does it stop? Well, there's still a creation, so I imagine it hasn't stopped yet. Not for Brahma, not for Vishnu, and not for the Deva Maheshwara. It still goes on.
Swamiji, she who is the nature of fire, what is the nature of fire? Nanda is asking if you can please help us understand that better.
Surely the nature of fire is purity. It's light. It's illumination. It's devotion. It's a symbol of friendship. It's a symbol of clarity. Fire has so many pure qualities. It's the light of meditation. It gives the warmth of purification. And she is of that nature.
Some of these, like this verse, is also in the Devi Gita.
Yes, these verses, many of them, have been taken from the Devi Upanishad. So here we have an anthology of all the wisdom from Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Shankya, Yoga, Purvamimamsa and Uttarmimamsa. All the classical systems of philosophy are going to be synthesized into one context in the following discussions. We're going to make the journey from logic to understanding the universe around us, to be able to distinguish and discriminate between Purush and Prakriti, between the eternal and the transient, and then define the path of yoga. How do we unite the two? And then where and in what way and in what circumstance do we offer our devotion? And what does that mean? And then we'll learn a system of worship called the Cosmic Puja, which actually is, it has been amplified. Its definition and discourse is contained in the Devi Gita, and ultimately we're going to come to the realization of Vedanta. And that's what these discourses are going to do for us. They're going to lead us on this journey from the confused state to to the state of union. From the Ratri Shukta, which is the praise of the goddess of duality, to the Devi Shukta, which is the praise of the goddess who is the embodiment of unity. She takes her net and she binds us all together with devotion and wisdom, and she brings us all together with Dhyan, Gyan, Bhakti, and Karma. And she takes all the verses and all the knowledge from all the various resources which pertain to the Divine Mother, and she brings us along her journey as she instructs Himalayas. How do you be a father to the Divine Mother? That's the essence of the Devi Gita. And that's why it's such a pertinent scripture for us to discuss.
Swami Kumari and Devi have a question.
Certainly. Namaste, Kumari Ma.
Swami, can you please tell us something about the Ashwamedha sacrifice, the horse sacrifice, and what it is used for?
Yes, there are many sacrifices, many various kinds of sacrifices, which were performed by the rishis and by the kings who were the sponsors of the rishis. The kings would invite all the rishis to perform a yajna. This Ashwamedha yajna was a yajna to proclaim a ruler, a king of kings in the nation. And what happened was a horse was worshipped. He was decorated and he was fed, and then he was set free to roam wherever he wished in all the lands of India, followed by an army. Now, in every kingdom into which the horse roamed, the army followed, and then that king of that kingdom had the choice to honor the horse and respect the king who sent it, or to fight with the army. And usually, when someone performed the Ashwamedha Yajna, every king was privileged to say, yes, we have a king of kings amongst us. And during the duration that the horse would roam, they continued the Yajna and the recitation of scriptures and the offering of oblations while the horse roamed. And sometimes this would go on for 10 months or a year. And all the rishis would have a convocation, and every evening it was like the Kumbh Mela, where everyone would sit around and discourse on the various aspects of philosophy. And all the kings and all the neighborhood, all the citizens were invited to listen to these discourses. And they were really an excellent exposition of the philosophy and heritage and traditions of the Sanatana Dharma. When the horse completed his journey, he would come back to the to the original kingdom, and then they would make Purnahuti, and they would have a feast for all the kingdoms. They would take all the tributes and all the wealth that they had collected, and they would distribute it amongst the poor, and they would perform many beneficial activities on behalf of all the citizens of all the kingdoms that they visited. They would distribute the wealth accordingly, and in this way they made roads across India, and to enable a commerce. And they made many of the scriptures were written down. There were great monuments made, and India prospered because of this Ashwamedha Yajna. Now, on another level, the Ashwa is an animal. The horse is an animal who always finds his way home. And the Ashwa symbolizes the relentless pursuit for our homeland, our own home, our original home, not just this temporary shelter that we're taking, but the Ashwamedha was Medha, of course, is wisdom. The knowledge of the horse is the knowledge of the way home. So the Ashwamedha Yajna, in its intrinsic sense, meant the yajna, the sacrifice for the knowledge to find our way home to our true location, our true destination, where we have come from and to where we will go. Because we're in a temporary shelter right now. So the Ashwamedha said, let's find the way home. And that was the yajna. And through the wisdom of the rishis, and through the convocation, and the sharing of the wealth, and the sharing of all the spiritual energies, and the distribution of the fruits of the karma to share amongst all the citizenry, then we found our way home to our true place, our true residence. And that was the real inner meaning of the Ashwamedha. Om Sam Saraswati Namaha. Namaste.